And we're setting up, ladies and gentlemen, for a game two here between Seven Men and Vengeful Reapers. Game one was quite a quick game here, winning by quite a large margin from Seven Men. We'll have to see if game two is any different. Random Minion Caster here with you for game two. And for the picks and bans, I've got with me Aderant Luna still. So, Luna, how are you feeling after that game one here?
Man, again, just like I was saying, that game went a lot quicker than I thought. Like, I was expecting at least a 30-minute game, and 7 were just like, nah, we ain't about that life, man. We got stuff to do. You got places to be, or not. I don't know. But either way, that game just kind of blazed on through.
For sure, and that was a little bit of my concern here with Vengeful Reapers. I mean, we know that they're a team that likes to fight, that never really gives up, and we did see that in that last game, especially that towards the end, we saw some combinations from Noise and True Hero on that Nocturne Galio, the cross-map attempts there. But when you're so far behind and you try and pick these fights, it ends up accelerating the pace of the game a lot, and that is my concern with Venture Reapers and Seven Men, that if they start to fall behind, the games will be quick because the two teams will just end up speeding things up and just dying faster effectively here. And now for game two, we've actually got 7 men on the red side this game, and it's going to be Venture Reapers on the blue side, so they have switched sides. No changes to their rosters, which is a little surprising. Both teams have quite deep player pools here. So we have seen them swap a lot of people out before, or even swap roles. Not going to see it this time. So it's still going to be Shapiro in the top lane here for Vengeful Reapers on the blue side. Noise in the jungle, True Hero mid lane, Drizzle ADC, JD Leon 1 as support. For the side of 7 men on the red side, it's going to be top lane Sucks in that top lane. Teeman in the jungle, El Pal's in the mid lane, Mookstar NY as ADC and the Ascendant support here. And we're just waiting for them to get the pro drafts set up and the picks and bans started.
Right. Now, something that I'm concerned with was the Galio build from True Hero last game. Um, he rushed damage and I think it was what Hextech GLP is what he went.
A protobelt.
Oh no, it was Protobot. You're right. And I mean that's a decent second or third item for Galio, but I mean especially if you're into something with a lot of burst magic damage like Echo, you really want to go something like maybe a Banshee's Veil or even maybe Abyssal Mask first item, I feel like, just because you need that MR. You need those tank stats on Galio, not just for the MR, but to also supplement the magic shield he gets and to buff how much damage reduction he gets from his taunt.
Yeah, unfortunately, with teams like this, Protobelt is often the first pickup we see from a lot of Gallios who are looking to make aggressive plays to look for kills, whether it be in their lane or other people's lanes. And with a team like Vengeful Reapers, it does not surprise me that True Hero opted for that aggressive play, looking for those early kills, and just unfortunately didn't work out here in game one. And I'm curious to see if they're going to try this again in game two, considering how the game in lane went for True Hero here.
Right. Like if what I would like to see is if they do go for the Galio pickup again, then you opt for going for a more tanky build early because like for example in that particular team comp they had, ideally they already had the damage with the uh, with the Nocturne and with the Aphelios. And the other issue is because you know that your Skarner is rushing Triforce, that's effectively taking another tank off the table early because he's not building tank stats, he's building damage. So now instead of having the option of having 3 tanks, you only have one from your bot lane Thresh, which that in the long terms of things killed their comp.
Yeah, and I mean, We'll have to see if they switch it up. I do expect changes from the draft here of Vengeful Reapers. And speaking of all those possible changes, the other one that I was kind of curious about was that Skarner top for Shapiro. How do you think that worked out? And also, we are into the picks and bans now. Vengeful Reapers starting this one up. They've got the Vi ban here right away.
Vi band's still on luck. I can respect it. Vi is still really strong. Um, Honestly, I didn't mind the Skarner going for the damage build. Um, it it was just that because both the Skarner and Galio decided to go with damage build, I feel like there wasn't really any good communication being like, hey, we could be really putting us in a hole if we both get behind. So at that point, it's just like you don't necessarily need everyone going damage. At some point, if you're on a champion that normally builds tank, then maybe you should consider going tank.
For sure, we'll have to see if they do adapt that here in game two. And we do see 7 men banning out the Wukong here, as well as the Ezreal. So they're going to keep their bans. For the side of Vengeful Reapers, though, they're going to switch things up a little bit with the KO ban against top lane Sucks here. Normally, KO, a champion we think of as being a late game champion, having a weak laning phase, but that definitely wasn't true in the hands of top lane Sucks. He was dominating right off the bat after one gank from Teeman.
Right, like that's all it takes sometimes for Kale to get ahead. Is like, you know, if Kale gets given an inch, she will take a mile.
Yeah, and they're just not going to risk it this time at all, just flat out banning the kill. We do see the Echo ban against Alpals as well coming in. Alpals known to play that Echo, insta-lock it right away. And for 7 men, once again with the Fizz ban, so they definitely don't want to see that. And this time, we're seeing Sion potentially first pick cover there. I don't know how troll that is, whether it's for reals or not. And now I'm curious for the side of 7 men and Teeman. Lee Sin is open. Is he going to go with Lee Sin again, or is he going to go with that Hecarim? Because that Hecarim was just something else there in game one. And it's actually going to be Vengeful Reapers picking up the Hecarim. I like that, and they're going to give that over to Noise in the jungle.
Well, never mind. I was thinking that, hey, we probably won't see any more Hecarim tonight. That's just going to be taken off the table. Never mind. Vengeful Reaper's just like, hey, we want to slice of this pie too. Seems like a good idea. This is an interesting pickup. I'm not sure how well the matchup is between Kane and Hecarim. I'm not sure who wins that trade, to be honest. That's going to make an interesting game.
Yeah, we actually have seen a couple of Kane mids as well show up here in the Coalition League. I'm trying to remember if it was Alpels playing that Kane mid. Uh, we'll have to see. If not, I would be surprised if that is a jungle pick, but I would like it. As I've said before, I've had reservations about that Lee Sin jungle for Teeman in all his games there that he does like to play it. We do see the Ashe pick up as well for Muxtar, one of his most played ADCs here, so definitely one that he'll be extremely comfortable on.
Yeah, and that is definitely a very hard counter for Hecarim. Hecarim being a straight all-in, Ashe can just drop a arrow to the face, and with Ashe's autos slowing Hecarim, that's effectively taking away some of his damage from his passive.
Right, not to mention the fact you can just drop an arrow straight to him to slow him down as well, stop the engage for now. And we do see the Thresh pickup for Vengeful Reapers once again for JD. We did see quite a few good hooks out, and we see a Karthus coming out now for Vengeful Reapers as well. It is one of the champions who just received a buff this week, Luna. So mid lane Karthus, you think that's what we're seeing here?
Yes. Oh man, I was hoping someone was going to play Karthus. The Karthus buffs are huge because okay, so they've made it to where jungle Karthus isn't as strong necessarily, or the damage about equals out because there is now a 15% damage reduction to monsters, but they increased the flat damage and the scaling on the Q. And the biggest thing is the mana restore passive on the E, the Defile. instead of when it's toggled off, now it's constant. As soon as you get the file, you will get mana restore whenever you kill uh whenever you kill a unit. So this is going to be really interesting.
For sure, and we do see now 7 men replying immediately with the Talia for El Pals. A very, very scary pickup. And the second round bans have completed as well. We see the Zaya and Ornn bans coming out for 7 men here. For the side of Vengeful Reapers, they're going to go with the Swain and Renekton bans. So the Swain targeted more at the Ascendants in that bot lane as support rather than El Pals in the mid lane, since El Pals already locked in the Talia. And we are going to see instead a Zillion from the Ascendant here. So that's another unique pickup, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing. We see Vengeful Reapers now hovering the Ahri, and if they do that, I'd be very confused as to what is going to the top lane. I mean, would it be that Karthus in the top lane maybe? Or would it be Karthus AP carry in the bot lane? And it is going to be the Ahri locked in.
Okay, so it could be AP carry Karthus. And I guess there's a chance it's in lane Hecarim with a jungle Karthus, because like I said, the Q damage should still balance out to be roughly the same. So either way, it's that's either going to be a jungle Karthus or a top Karthus then.
Okay, and it's likely going to be that top lane Karthus, because we see the last pickup here going to be a Jhin for Drizzle. Definitely one of the ADC champions. He does play quite a bit off as well. So very, very interesting draft from Vengeful Reapers. They're quite heavy on the AP damage as well, but Karthus is one of the most consistent damage AP carries, so we'll be able to shred tanks. And we're not seeing a lot of tanks on the side of 7 men. They're down to the last pick. It's going to be a Yorick for top lane sucks here. Not exactly a tank, but certainly tanky enough. It's a bit of a bruiser unit here. So very, very interesting draft from both teams here. And Luna, what are your thoughts here?
I don't know how I feel about the Yorick pick, actually, because if that is Karthus top, I mean, there's a chance that trapping Karthus in with the Yorick wall could be detrimental to himself just because of the defile damage. Because I mean, like, yeah, they might trade 1-for-1 potentially, but I mean, ideally, you don't want to give any kills over to Karthus if possible. And I don't know. That's really interesting. VGR, they have a lot of like, they have a decent amount of like chain CC with like Ari Charm. You have the snares and roots from Jhin. You have everything that Thresh provides, and you have the massive slow from Karthus, and the fear and knockback from Hecarim. 7 men, on the other hand, they have a lot more hard CC. Like they have the knockback from Talia. They have the double bomb stun from Zillion, the Ash ult. Depending on what Kane goes, if he goes red Kane, then he'll have a knock up. And I mean, if Zillion gets to late game, you can almost consider the slow on his E hard CC, just because it's something like a 90 or 99% slow for like 1.5 seconds or something like that. You might as well be rooted at that point.
For sure. So from the sounds of it, you're thinking 7 men is going to outscale Vengeful Reapers here?
It's really hard to say, honestly, because Talia can put out an immense amount of damage. I feel like the wild card overall is definitely the Karthus pick from VGR. And then for 7 men, it's that Zillion pick, just because, you know, Karthus goes to ult, and then Zillion can keep either Ashe or Talia alive, and, you know, still in the fight, still able to put out a lot of damage. This game, I think, is going to be coin flip.
Coin flip indeed, and we'll have to see which way that coin ultimately ends up landing on here. For myself, I'm looking at Noise and Teemin, the two junglers here, to see what they can do, because we did see Teemin taking over game one in commanding fashion. Ended, what was that, 10-1-2 or something like that, by the end of game one. And we'll have to see if Noise can do the same now that he's got his hands on Hecarim. And Teemin on this Kayn as well. I do believe he did play it back in the spring split, I believe, when both Lee Sin and Vi were banned out. And he didn't necessarily have the best of games on it. So we'll have to see how he performs on it here in the summer split. And we do see here how everything's shaking out. So there is going to be a Karthus top, and it is going to be an Ahri mid here for the side of Vengeful Reapers.
Yeah, that is such a very weird pick. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it just because of the Karthus buffs, and I'm excited to see how well it's going to play out. But at the same time, just seeing it go top into Yorick, or the Yorick rather being picked into it, I'm not sure if that's going to be beneficial for Yorick, or if I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
And I guess that's partially a strength of Shapiro's as well. Always playing these, seemingly to always play these AP champions in the top lane. AP Skarner before, now he's got the Karthus as well. And with that, we are going to head into a quick intermission break while we wait out the spectator delay here. So we'll see all of you guys in a couple of minutes. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 2 here. We're back onto the Rift on the blue side. Once again, it's Vengeful Reapers. On the red side, it's 7 men. And we have a change up here in the caster roster. Adrit Luna leaving us for the game. Then instead, we're welcoming back Angelic Poro. He's going to cast the actual game itself. How are you doing, Poro?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me. And hopefully this is going to be a beautiful and exciting game too.
For sure, and I know that you missed out most of the pick and ban phase thus far, so I want to get your thoughts on the team compositions here, because I know I was surprised when it got drafted, so I want to get your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, just looking at it, just the blue side team, I believe with what, 7 men?
Vengeful Reapers on the blue side.
Right. So Vengeful Reapers, they definitely do have a lot of early game. They have a lot of damage coming out from a lot of their champions, but they have a higher chance of blowing up, so I just don't see it quite working out. And if they do, I still don't like it because they had to have picture perfect team fights to get ahead. However, on the red side, they have a more traditional team comp, which is much easier to play around and just eventually just steamrolling this game. You have the Talia that can make playmaking. You have the King that has options of going Shadow Assassin or Rust. And you have the Yorick that just can punish people for not respecting the distance between each other. It's just overall, just red side has a better team comp, and it's so much easier for them to get ahead in this game.
Yeah, definitely have better ease of execution on this composition here. I just want to point out the summoners here. Shapiro running the teleport on that top lane. Karthus, I personally do play top lane Karthus sometimes, and usually I see the exhaust coming out because they have the Requiem there, which can hit across the map, but he's opting for the teleport. It's working out for him so far, and in the jungle, Noise on this Hecarim. He's not taking Flash, he's taking the more commonly seen Ignite Smite here for himself, so we'll have to see whether he can get some early ganks off as well.
Well, yeah, just Ignite. Hold on a second. Yorick is gonna be going it. What? Wow, they're all both low as heck, and it's gonna be a little close here. First blood actually goes down to the bot lane and Thresh, but top lane sucks. It's gonna be flashing in for the Grave, but doesn't happen. So, what is actually happening down in the bot lane? Because usually you would see these two laners be pretty safe. However, in the top lane, Shapiro is just barely living. And yeah, what on earth is going on in the early game already?
I mean, this is JD and Drizzle. We've seen them play Vengeful Reapers. A lot of that, they're aggressive. If you give JD Thresh, he'll look for these death sentences, pardon me. And it looks like he managed to land one onto the Ascendant there. That's one of the risks you have when you play that sort of double caster, those squishy bot lanes here. And JD is going to continue to look to punish. You can see how aggressively he's laning. But topside.
Yeah, Noise is already going to be charging in onto Teeman, but overall the Ignite's going to be coming out and Teeman's going to be actually falling to the Apocalypse, Forceman of the Apocalypse, and that's going to be a 1 for Noise.
And top lane sucks being forced out as well. Has to be very careful. It looks like Shapiro's been on point, landing his Skittles there. The more of those Qs he can land, the more damage he does. And it does double damage if you're a single target alone. It doesn't hit anything else. So top lane sucks has to start dodging those. I would want to see him pick up an early pair of boots if he's struggling to dodge those, because if not, he's going to be constantly bullied out under turret. You can already see he's half health after teleporting back to lane there.
Right. Also, just a part of it's going to have to be positioning, because as far as what we're seeing, that his positioning is just not has been the greatest so far. And if he's were to do something, he needs to have better positioning before boots even comes to play.
For sure, boots just help you to position better. They don't necessarily help you position better if you can't seem to see where the waste is being laid there. And Noise, that early Ignite meant that he could win that trade. It's a fairly short cooldown as summoners go, so Teeman's going to have to be careful that he doesn't continue to look for fights with Noise here. Like you said, like Luna said, the side of Vengeful Reapers, they're looking to sort of pop off here. They're the ones who need to find things to get going. So Teeman just needs to play back a little bit. I know he's an early game jungler. He likes to find kills early, but he needs to make sure he doesn't trade deaths over as well.
Yeah, it is beneficial if he goes for fights early on, but you also gotta remember those little fights can add up over time and just ruin your clear. As for Kane, I know how that feels like. You want that transformation as early as possible, possibly even 8 minutes, and we already see that Team is gonna be trying for a gank, trying to get his form as early as possible. The flash, charm, ignite, that's gonna be an electrocute right into the heart, and she falls. And it's just unfortunate for 7 men.
And that's a solid start from Vengeful Reapers. True Hero was sort of the weak point that got picked on last game on that Galio. So it's really good to see him on this Ari, able to find himself a kill. And that was effectively a 2v1 sort of situation there. Elpel's surprisingly on the Talia, feeding such an early kill over and being down such a big amount already. 22 to 38 CS right now. Usually Elpel's on this Talia is the one who sort of plays almost like an assassin or lane bully.
Oh, but the Hecarim on top lane actually hits the wall instead of top lane sucks.
Yeah, that was an interesting interaction there with the wall when he went charging into it. He actually kind of hopped right through it there. Did waste sort of the engage in the gap closer portion of it, but at least he knows now that if he needs to, he can use that to get out of the wall, out of that little pit there without necessarily taking it down. And as fast as Noise is, that wasn't that big a deal for him. He didn't lose too much on the failed gank in the top lane.
Yeah. Since he definitely does know now, it's gonna be much easier for him to escape if he really needs to. But again, he needs to play it more carefully if he is gonna use his E to jump over the wall. Because, as you know, most Hecarim use it as gap closers, and it's gonna be much difficult for them to use it as an escape tool instead.
Yeah, for sure. The wall, though, just having it up, forcing Noise at the path around it is one of the most effective ways to try and slow or to prevent a Hecarim gank when he's running full speed at you here. And despite being ganked quite a bit, or having some ganks thrown up to the top lane and being abused by Shapiro in the early phases, top lane Sucks actually has accrued himself a sizable CS lead. Mid lane, too.
Such a big chunk.
Yeah, Alpal is just not having a good time against True Hero right now. And in fact, that's going to mean that Vengeful Reapers has the priority and are going to be able to pick themselves up the first Drake of the game, the Cloud Drake here, it looks like.
Yeah, this is Cloud Drake on these champions is just so crucial, especially for Karthus being the first ult for what I believe is 30 minutes long. It's just going to be so crucial for them. And that's an excellent hook at bot lane, that Ascent, Descendant. Just extremely low. The Requiem comes down, and that's gonna be a kill from heaven. And Charm happens, and just True Hero just playing it all so well.
And this is the series we kind of expected to see here between 7men and Vengeful Reapers. Despite getting crushed by 7men in Game 1, Vengeful Reapers firing back right now on all cylinders. They're up 5 kills right now. It looks like 7men have no way of really answering the pressure that's coming across the map. And the Karthus from Shapiro working out really well as well. I actually liked the Zillion pickup in draft. As soon as they saw the Karthus pickup, the first pick on the second round was that Zillion. Because the ultimate, the chrono shift, they're able to make sure that at least one person survives that Requiem. But because Shapiro, as soon as he hit 6, basically got the Requiem off, Ascendant had no chance. He's not 6 yet. He goes down.
Yeah, that's another hook right there, and that's gonna be actually a second one for Del.
And like, I just feel like if you turned off the nameplates right now, I would have thought Alpals is True Heroes the way it's going, because we saw the opposite happening in Game 1, where True Hero just kept getting picked and killed over and over again. Now it's Alpals who's constantly, we see, getting hit, getting pushed and punished here. So much better game for Vengeful Reapers, and they need to make sure they continue accelerating the pace of the game, keep this pressure up, and they don't give a chance for 7men to scale back into the game here.
Yeah, and you see in the mid lane, they have, True Hero has around 30 CS lead, and that's going to be so crucial for them, because as we already see in the gold difference between teams, it's already quite massive just with those 6 kills also. And especially with this Riptail gonna go down, it's gonna be so massive for VGR.
Bot lane though.
And wow, that is quite something. An Ascendant is actually the one to nuke down Drizzle.
Yeah, that's
However, in the top lane, yeah, they're
that's
not much.
just unfortunate for Team pardon me, in that bot lane there, because he actually wanted that kill. He went diving in to pick it up, and the Ascendant picking it up instead kind of sucks for him.
Yeah, it's really bad, but they will basically get their first turret at mid, and just in bot lane that one kill is gonna definitely turn the tides of this bot lane, even though they have 2 kills, because as you know, those 2 kills went on the wrong people.
For sure, and for 7 men as well, unfortunately the kill went to the Ascendant, the worst possible person to pick that one up there in the bot lane, but
Oh, that is a lot of damage. Sapiro. Oh, the ghouls are still running towards him, but top lane sucks. Still got bursted onto Shapiro, and that's gonna be a little tough for him to swallow there.
I mean, for Shapiro, he doesn't need to win these, right? Like, as long as he wins, that's fine. He outskills the Yorick eventually. He's got himself Dark Harvest stacks as well. So actually, if he keeps top lane sucks kind of low and just keeps proccing the Dark Harvest, that's a win in his books. And despite being down about 12 CS, about 2 waves here, he's actually ahead in terms of gold because of the kill, because of the assist as well. And really, the only lane that's sort of ahead-ish is going to be 7men's bot lane, and that's where the ADC is ahead. But then you look at the supports, and it's JD who's actually up a little bit.
True Hero, he's in a bad situation. However, the wall's gonna be coming through. Is he able to be escape here? He's gonna be dodging everything. Unfortunately, he just runs back to where Talia was, finding himself one more before he goes down. And unfortunately, that's gonna be a shutdown on True Hero. And Noise and bot lane gonna be going on the side, but not quite. Not gonna be slowed forever until the dawn of time. Also gonna be using the exhaust, and he's gonna be able to run up the enemy jungle.
That was an exhaust as well as the Ash arrows, and you saw how little that really affected Noise when he's got his speed boost running there. So it is actually going to be quite okay handling this sort of slow bot lane here. And that's the exhaust down now for the Ascendant. Will not be available for the next fight. And it looks like both teams setting up for this dragon right now.
Yeah, Noise and the arrow gonna be coming through, and it's gonna stun forever, but not unstoppable from his ult is not gonna be quite enough, and we see the flash, and Teamman's gonna be bringing himself back into this game. The flash gonna be coming out from Videlion, and it's gonna be quite a bit. And now True Hero is in a bad situation. However, our pals was needed to use the Chrono Break. However, it wasn't enough. And now that's gonna be, I believe, a couple kills for 7men.
Yeah, and that's great for 7men trying to come back like that. The top side.
And yeah, top side of Shapiro. Just that was hurt so much for Shapiro. He just really can't do anything. And I guess he was too busy just looking around the map, and Top Lane Sucks was able to turn that to his own source of strength against Shapiro.
Yeah, I mean, Shapiro, his advantage in lane is the fact that he is ranged. So if he lets top lane Sucks sit on top of him like that, with the Maiden taking down, he's guaranteed to be dead here. And that's why sometimes you see top lane cards just take the exhaust. Instead, he's got the Ignite, he's going to get back to lane. He's not going to miss too much. He'll lose some plates, but not the end of the world here. Vengeful Reaper is still in a fairly good position. They did pick themselves up the second Drake as well, the Ocean Drake. So that's going to give them more sustain, which is going to benefit Shapiro a lot, actually. He's the one who's probably going to enjoy that the most. But it's a little scary. That last fight going the way of 7men shows you that 7men have the better initiate and engages there. The Enchanted Arrow finding from afar, like you said, once Ashe gets on you, she can really stick on you as well. They have enough burst damage as well, and there's no true tank on the side of Vengeful Reaper. So anyone who gets tagged by that Enchanted Crystal Arrow can very quickly die there.
I mean, that's kind of granted though, because just the nature of these team comps being a little... Wait, hold on a second. He just gets bursted almost instantly. That just shows you how strong Arya is in the meta right now. It's just able to escape, and they trade blazes. And that's Yorick gonna be pushed back. That's gonna be a wide Ashe arrow. and they are able to find one before they escape.
Yeah, just missing by a little bit was unfortunate there, and Alpal just needs to be more respectful here of the damage that True Hero can put out. Like I said, if you just switch the nameplates there, it could easily have been True Hero in Game 1 and seeing a very sort of similar matchup here. And now for Vengeful Reapers, they had a great start, and I said that they need to keep their foot on the gas pedal here, keep the pace of the game high, but unfortunately they've now fallen back, and like what should have been a bigger lead has kind of shrunk. It was great that True Hero caught Alpals there, but bot lane, you actually saw Mookstar punishing almost 1v2 here against Drizzle and JD. And the Ascendant, with that unsealed spellbook as well, able to just use teleport, was able to join the top fight and instantly get back to the bottom lane. So 7 men still in a fairly decent position. They do scale quite nicely as well. Top lane, Shapiro is going the super scaling route for Karthus. He's got the tier stacking, and he's building the Rod of Ages. It's 16 minutes. He doesn't have the Roa completed yet, so he does have to be careful that it doesn't take too long for the Karthus to scale up, but at least they've got themselves some late game insurance here, should the game end up running to that 40-minute mark.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if he is able to reach 40 minutes minimum, he's gonna hurt like a truck. But however, as for 7 men, they do have the team comp that could just take him out of the fights almost instantly. You have the Kane that just goes around and just catch anyone who is not paying attention at all. And that's just how easy it is for them just to take away Shapiro from the fights. But it's really hard to tell right now. It's just, they're just running out of steam for VGR. They really are.
Yeah, they've been sitting at this 3,000 gold lead for a while, basically since that first start goes on. But Alpal,
Oh,
that's 100 to 0.
that's 100-0 to like in like 2 seconds, and now team in. Wow, he just gets obliterated from noise. Wow, wow.
That's kind of the impetus that Vengeful Reapers needed. Like, this is great. They're getting picks, they're getting further hit. Now they've got themselves the second herald of the game. They can look to crack yet another turret, because they were frankly looking a little lost in the last couple of minutes there. They weren't really pushing anything. Great, there's objectives, but you need to get turrets, basically, and you need to look for siege situations. So now they've got that. That's great. And they can now look to keep on shoving. They're strong. They can win any fight they get in equal numbers. You just need to make sure they don't get picked here.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right? Because if they even get picked even once, it could be end a game. As for right now, since they're so weak. But however, if I believe VGR gets picked even once, the entire game could be swung around, and that could lead for Alpals and top lane sucks to start carrying even Mookstar, and that's basically one of the crucial things of the situation of right now. But they are playing pretty well right now, not going for anything too greedy.
Yeah, and I mean, while it's great that they're not being greedy, normally I am an advocate of just playing safe and scaling back up, but I think for the side of 7 men though, rather than that and letting Shapiro scale up here, what they need to do instead is they need to be the proactive ones. They've got the tools to initiate. They've got Weaver's Wall. They've got Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They're the ones who can make map-wide plays here, and that's what I'm looking at them to try and do. Because if they just sort of look for a traditional fight with even numbers, they're not going to win it. So they need to make uneven numbers. And right now, Shapiro is missing. He's back at base. He's taking forever to come back in. No teleport available. They can look for a fight here.
Yeah, they very well could, and that's gonna be a dragon for 7 men. They do get themselves a dragon. That's gonna give them a little bit more resistance, but how much is that actually gonna help? That we're gonna find out pretty soon with this top lane fight against top lane sucks and True Hero. The Requiem is gonna be coming through, and it seems like the dragon's not gonna help too much, and just well played from True Hero and Shapiro.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 things here which are the issue for 7 men right now. They're not used to playing against a Karthus is one of them. You can see that they're letting their health bars drop lower than they should. Top lane sucks might have been able to win that in the 1v1, but again, the moment there's a Karthus on the enemy team, it's never a 1v1. You really need to pay attention and track that ultimate timer to know when it's available, when it's not available. And I think the other issue that 7men are also having right now is that they've fallen behind. And as an aggressive team, we've seen this happen time and time again with 7men and Vengeful Reapers. When they fall behind, they struggle to come back into the game. Who's going to be the playmaker here for 7men? Right now, nobody's initiating anything here for them. They're playing very, very far back. I want to see more Enchanted Crystal Arrows coming out from Muxtar, because I think that's the best way they get. That's the best way for them to start the fights in safety. If it hits a bad target, you let it go. If it hits a good target, you kill someone. The cooldown isn't that bad. 90 seconds, they can spam that.
Yeah, as you said, you really need to take an account of Karthus, and especially his Requiem. Without the Requiem, sure, you can basically do anything, but however this Kayn right now is going to be demolished and obliterated within like 2-3 seconds from 2 people. And he's really not going to have a chance to use Umbral Trespass or his ult.
And part of that's just a lack of vision right now on the side of 7men. Vengeful Reaper's doing a really good job of making sure they can't see anything, and that's why we keep seeing people get caught. Teeman gets caught, top lane Sucks get caught, Alpels gets caught yet again there, just barely survives. And without the vision, they can't mount a counterattack, and you can't just rely on hawk shots from the Ashe. And Vengeful Reapers is doing a great job so far of making sure that 7men don't have a lot of opportunities to come back. And yeah, they messed up a little bit in the mid game, fed over 1 or 2 kills, but in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing at all. Now they've got themselves a Baron at 21.5 minutes. Yeah, this looks exactly like game 1, except flip. We saw 7men picking up themselves a Baron quite early on with a huge lead, a 10k gold lead. There's only about just under 8,000 right now for Vengeful Reapers, but still fairly similar. And we could look for Vengeful Reapers to do the same, crack the base open, potentially look to try and end the game on the next push.
Yeah, they very well could if they do manage to stack the waves. If they don't burst down the minion wave almost instantly, and if they get the right picks. But right now, the thing is, how are they going to use the Shadow Assassin? Because really, nobody on VGR is really all that squishy. Sure, Karthus, you can possibly melt, but there's Ari that just has the escape tools of running away from a Shadow Assassin. You have the Hecarim that's pretty tanky without any armor roots. And as you see it like that already, that's going to be melted onto Drizzle. And now the ult comes through, the Descendant's going to be going through, and Drizzle actually managed to make it out alive. Mookstar is getting lower and lower. Will he be able to escape? And no, he wants the Charm is actually the thing that kills Drizzle. Finds himself a Kayn, a delicious one instead, and the Grave Robber won't be digging up any graves anymore.
And what a chaotic fight there. It was happening all over the map. You could see everybody. It wasn't a team fight. And to be fair, neither team has a great, amazing team fight team. Both teams have a lot of individual pick tools here. And so it's kind of like you can see what happens when one team gets ahead and your team doesn't fight as a team. Muxtar was isolated, instantly hunted down by Noise there. You saw top lane Sucks trying to chase after, trying to find Drizzle. He almost got him, but not quite. And now it's going to cost them their entire base. They've lost 2 inhibitors now. Only that top lane left alive, and that's a, oh my goodness, Ascendant.
Yeah, that is so much damage. That's just the price what you get when you let someone stack their Dark Harvest and their abilities for way too long. And just, it hurts so much, as you saw right there. Just Ascendant didn't really have a chance to pop anything at all.
And I think at this point, if you are 7men, you kind of just give this game up and you're looking at the next game of the series here, because there was quite a few issues. I think the draft was okay. The issue was just that if you look across the board, Alpals 1-6-0, Teeman 1-6-2, and unfortunately for them, these are the 2 players who tend to carry their early and mid games here. Top lane Sucks as well, but top lane Sucks 1-2-0. He didn't lose his lane, but he also didn't sort of take over the game. So I think they need to basically for game 3.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage top lane, but Karthus, as we said before, just Teeman being also weak right now, being 1-6, really doesn't do that damage. And now mid lane, True Hero is actually able to find a Zillion. And now Shapiro needs to do something to obliterate this game. Yes, he will. He will get it already. Now True Hero is going way too deep. He forces the price for himself, and now top lane sucks. Digs the grave for Karthus, but the bullet comes from Drizzle. And that's going to be a 2-for-1 at this side.
And I mean, that was a little bit of a throw here from Vengeful Reapers, but despite throwing a little bit, I mean, True Hero went ridiculously aggressively in. Still, they trade back 2 for 3, so that just shows you how far ahead right now Vengeful Reapers are. They can afford to make mistakes, and 7men just can't punish for these mistakes. And I think a lot of it with these two teams is going to come down to early game execution. I think in Game 3, 7men need to be more proactive. Teamin needs to find something more here. And, I mean, the Shadow Assassin Kane, actually not that bad a choice. Shapiro is probably one of the tankier members, the second tankiest member of his team right now. And Teamin almost managed to get him. So I think if Teamin picks the right targets, finds Noise, True Hero, or Drizzle, and can dodge out some of the skill shots, he actually can try and find some kills here. But I don't think they'll get the chance this game.
Yeah, that's the thing, man, because most of these champions on 7men's team really does need time. I mean, the early game to actually get ahead and snowball. But VGR just playing the early game so much better. They had the champions to go all in early, and this Teamin was just unable to keep up with the tempo of what VGR was outputting, and it was so hard for him to stay in this game. And even now, only being 1-7, it's truly difficult. And he's definitely gonna have to ride the backs of top lane Sucks and Mookstar.
Yeah, and they're just going to have to mount a final defense here. I think this is where you look for a fight, but...
Ooh, the wall does go off, but it's not enough, and that actually puts out J-Delion. I mean J-Down, but it's gotta be so hard. And now this is just such a fight that's so messy, but they are able to find Noise in the process, but for losing 2, and their base is slowly getting run over by minions, and only top lane Sucks is the one to defend here.
And I think that was a fight 7men had to take. They don't have a choice. The issue is Alpal's getting caught.
That's such a good death sentence, and now they're going to be going all in, but Thresh is going to be falling to Zillion. However, they only trade 1 for 1, but it's not going to be all that much for them. And now they need to survive against the other 3 damage dealers on this team.
Yeah, and like I was saying, 7men had to pick that fight. They had no choice, but they need to make sure that they're not getting caught out first, because Alpals was dead before that fight started. And we saw they still, under that turret, they managed to kill Noise here. So if they had Alpals, properly putting up the minefield there, pumping out the damage, they might have been able to answer evenly. And anytime they can answer evenly, 1 for 1, 2 for 2, it's a win in 7men's book, because they're just trying to stall, trying to climb back in. There were bounties on the side of Vengeful Reapers. There's only one right now on Drizzle, but basically, if they can pick up those bounties, they can look to get back in the game. Now, they're very lucky because that last inhibitor went down just right before the mid lane inhibitor spawned, so they won't have double minions pushing into the bush, into their base, pardon me, while the Baron is spawned and a possible objective for both teams.
Yeah, that's really is something, because just right before they took the fight, the inhibitor respawned, and then they're really having all sorts of pressure now coming through, only in one lane only, so they are able to walk up in mid lane, but they still need permanently someone stationed in top lane just to make sure that no super minion is going to be coming through, and that's one memory that they're not ever going to have for a team fight at all.
The teleport is still down for top lane Sucks. He will not be able to rejoin his team if he tries to stop the super minions push. They have a tiny window right now while the super minions are still trying to walk up into the base, but the issue right now is more that they don't have enough vision.
Yeah, here comes Shadow Assassin. He's just running through, but that's not a lot of damage at all. And this is what you see, that they're going to be now trying to contest, but it's just the nature of the super minions at top lane. They may just have to give this one up.
Yeah, and they just had no vision to walk towards this dragon. It's going to be Soul now going to Vengeful Reapers. They get themselves additional shield. You thought it was hard to kill them before. It's worse now. Team In's life is going to feel like absolute crap because he can't assassinate anyone. The Baron's still up, so they can go for the Baron as well. Then they'll have Soul, they'll have Baron, they'll have a crap ton of gold, and 2 exposed inhibitors they can take down. Really, at this point, as soon as they take this Baron down, I'm expecting the final push coming out from Vengeful after they go on their last shopping spree here.
Yeah, surely with this Baron and Soul, it's definitely gonna be game. And there's really isn't much that 7 men can do here. It's just really, really rough for them to do anything against a super minion, empowered Baron, and Ash just right now doesn't have the damage to destroy it all.
Yeah, that being said, though, even Vengeful Reapers have done an amazing job this game too to fire back. They basically made it a complete 180 from game 1 here. But you can see it's 30 minutes into the game. Game 1, I think, took about 23, 24 minutes. So was a faster game. And Vengeful Reapers looks a little lost sometimes outside of the objectives. So I would like to see them be able to focus down turrets a little better, not have to wait for objectives to come up to force anything here. And for the side of 7 men, this will be the last fight. They have to pick a fight. They can't afford to let both their inhibitors go down here. So I am expecting them to try and get something done, especially once Shapiro shows in that bot lane here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a do or die situation now. They are grouped up with Karthus on the side. As you said, Karthus doesn't really need to be in the fight at all. That's going to be Ashe already. Not sure what she's quite doing right now. And now Kane's already inside of Shapiro. Zanya's going to be effective against all of this. And now Toppling Sucks needs to try and do something and murder him before he gets anything else off. But the explosion and the blood gonna be going and pierce through his head. And surely that will be game after those 2 kills.
Yeah, I mean, just the minions alone will finish this. A beautiful double bomb to stop the flashing from True Hero there. True Hero still trying to pad his stats at the last second.
Yeah, really, for sure. And that's gonna be a little bit of a fight before this all ends, but that is a lot of minions, and game 2 is going to be going over to VGR with this team comp.
Yep, good game. Congrats to VGR as they even up the score here. And, you know, just going into game 3, I think 7 men's picks were fine, like I said. I think it just comes down to a lot of basically that they need to have a better early game. Find some ways back into the game here that let them win the early game, because that's what it's looking right now. It's just who's winning the early game, and I'm a little biased, but I think Hecarim's winning the early game no matter which team he's on right now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're on the blue side, you're basically gonna just let the red side team just to ban it out, and you're gonna get a free pick and ban in general. You're going to get the champion that you want, while Hecarim is going to be banned for game 3, hopefully, if they know and what they are going to try to do in the next game. If we see both of these junglers playing extraordinarily well with Hecarim, now it's just a matter of time. How can they adapt to Hecarim's of being played on both teams, and if they will ban it?
Yeah, and I think that's going to come down a lot to the red side here. Whichever team is on the red side is going to have to ban out the Hecarim now that both teams have shown that they can really play it quite well here. And True Hero finishing that game with the Medjai's Soul Stealer there. I didn't quite catch how many stacks he had by the end of it, but definitely could afford to do it because he was just absolutely wrecking everyone.
Yeah. As we heard, just whoever has the Hecarim is just really, really hard right now. I don't know what's gonna happen, but surely something is gonna happen that's gonna take us by surprise.
I certainly hope so. Both teams have so far pulled out quite a lot of surprising cards. The Karthus in the top lane. The Hecarims, which have come out for both teams, have been great as well. And yeah, I hope that they've got more in their pockets. Like I said, they have deep champion player pools, instead of champion pools. They've got pretty deep substitute pool, so we might potentially start seeing some roster changes as well, and that will change everything up here in this series. And with that, we are going to head into a quick intermission break while we get ready for Game 3. So see you all in a couple minutes. Please do stick around.